And it's night 4 of the budget hearing process. Before we get started, I'm gonna go ahead and go over the budget goals. The number 1 would be to adopt a reasonable budget, one that meets our needs and minimizes the needs for additional appropriations. Number 2, have reasonable wages and benefits for our employees. And 3, maintain a reasonable operating balance for each fund. With that being said, let's do the roll call.
Scott,
Here.
Connor,
Here.
Hicks,
Here.
Perez,
I haven't heard anything from Bruce.
Polling,
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Middleton.
Here, we have a form. At your table this evening, you have received, updated copies of the Form 4B. Angie or Jim, would you like to give us the update on those?
Well, from what I can see, there are no changes after last night's session, so your bottom line looks the same as it did as you started last evening, so it's still has the same operating balance for the funds involved.
I believe one of the 4Bs is without personnel requests and one is with, correct?
Yeah, it's up to 23 levels.
Yeah, that's so you can kind of compare if where you would stand now if you kept salaries the same, that you can do some analysis to what you can afford to do going forward.
And then also at your table this evening, at last night's budget session, Mr. Scott requested some information regarding the public defender. It's at your table as well. And then as far as the sheriff's, the jail medical is at your table as well. The 3 coverage options for the quality correctional care. Something we'll be looking at, preparing for the special session. I believe, also in that Form 4B is some additional information regarding the budget requests and raise requests information. Anything you'd like to add, Angie? Okay.
Oh, I did ask for the contracts with the public defender's office for the chins and contractual services. And Lisa responded saying she will pick up one. So once I get that information, I'll pass it on.
Okay, great. Oh, like that's it there. We'll go through each department as they come before us this evening. We will listen to all the requests that they bring before us, including personnel. However, the items we will be acting on this evening will be the non-personnel items. We'll address the personnel raises or additional position requests at the end of the budget process. The first budget before us this evening would be the Convention and Visitor Bureau. But if you would start with your personnel requests, if this fine with us.
Well, thank you. I'm here with the CVB request for 2024, and you'll be pleased to hear that we're not proposing any increases in the salary area. So that will remain static for another year. In the other line items, we are coming before you, just to cut to the chase, an 8.35% increase. Those increases are going to be in the areas of attraction development, training and education, advertising, dues and subscriptions. The reason for increasing the training and education, we'll be bringing on a new employee in 2024. And with the other change that we may have in staffing, we just think it's prudent that they have the opportunity to go to the academy that the Indiana Tourism does and some other kinds of things that might be beneficial to us. And then we're showing a decrease in printing of $10,000. Printing is one of 2 things that we spend money on in the way of advertising and promotion that we do not know what benefit it is. And typically when we send something like either the Garfield brochure or the Visitors Bureau for the county to the printer, which includes bed and breakfast and a lot of the restaurants, by the time it comes back from the printer, there's changes, it's out of date. So we just made a decision to not do much of that. So basically, almost anywhere we spend money on advertising, we can count the successes we've had with it because most of it is done through the social media. We don't do billboards. We're cutting back on print. The only thing that we do have a contract with MS Radio that from June through early October promotes all the events in Grant County. And the reason we've maintained that is that it promotes us in all 92 counties. And even though our consultant would like for us to eliminate that, I take some pleasure sometimes in going to a tourism meeting and have another director say, I heard your ad, that kind of thing. So we know it does get spread around the state. So we have the funds. We've been very cautious over the years, and we haven't always spent our appropriations, so our cash balance is growing. That is another reason we want to make this increase and put more money into the promotion as well as the attraction development.
Are there any questions or comments from the members? This is a fee-driven fund from the
That's-
innkeeper's tax,
That's correct.
and the current fund balance is $374,278. So this budget does support the fund, I think, is an expected revenue.
That is correct. And it's interesting. In 2021, we had our innkeeper's tax, and right off the top, I'm forgetting the amount, but in 2022, it decreased by $30,000. So we're always careful as we go through the year how we spend money so that we know we have matched dollars coming in before the end of the year, so that we're always solvent at the end of the year. And thus far, we have not had to come before you for an additional appropriation. So.
Quick question. You said you were not adding or changing salaries, but you're increasing an employee. You're adding an employee.
Well, I'm leaving. Okay. I'll be leaving the Visitors Bureau at the end of December. When they asked me if I'd fill in, they asked me if I'd be their interim for 6 or 8 months or 4 or 5 years. I said I would if I could do it part-time. It's now been 8.5 years. So I think I fulfilled my obligation. The commission is interviewing. They're pretty close to making a decision on a replacement for the executive director. They do plan to go with a full-time executive director, which is how it had always been until I took it. I requested part-time. And then they will be adding the bookkeeper. So it'll still be 1.5 people. The players will be done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'm just curious.
And I appreciate your cooperation. First time I did this, I was pretty nervous about it. And you've always been very kind to me, and I appreciate that. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the members? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, regarding Convention and Visitors Bureau, I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Scott, a second from Mr. Connor to approve the budget of CVB categories 2 and 3 as presented. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next budget request before us this evening be carry services.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to come and present here this evening for our community intellectual disability financial assistance request here. Just some quick exciting news for this community and this county. We're looking to open up our Empower Academy Learning Center. We've completely renovated what previously was a sheltered workshop in our building there across from Lowe's. And we'll be opening that up next week, where we'll have many different learning labs, training in a lot of different careers that this community and this county need. Pre-manufacturing learning labs, indoor gardening, hospitality, food service, custodial and janitorial, technology and retail. Will all be showcased in those learning labs there at the Empower Academy. Quick plug, next Thursday at 4:00 is the ribbon cutting at Carry Services in that building. We'd love to have the county, and we've just appreciated your support as you work with us and review our request every single year. And so we're coming before you today with a $153,956 request. And we'd just like to bring that before you here this evening.
Is there a question? Go ahead, Angie.
I just wanted to let you know that on your budget worksheet, the growth quotient was 4%. He requested 3. I put on your budget worksheet 4%. So just wanted you to know.
Okay.
So it's actually 155, 451.
Like you just want the lottery.
Are you requesting the 4% or the 3%?
Well, I originally came trying to be conservative with our request, but I think it's been customary that we follow the growth quotient request in terms of how the county budgets each year. So yes, I'll amend my request to the 155 more with Angie's guidance here.
Is there any questions or comments from the members?
Have you ever thought about going into law?
You're going into law? I have in the past, yes. We'll talk, yeah, we'll talk.
If there's no questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion to accept it as presented.
Second.
I have a motion for, at the 4%.
Yes.
I have a motion from Mr. Lemming, a second from Mr. Connor to approve carry services, the growth quota at the 4%, which is 155,451. Any other questions or comments from the members? Angie, you have everything you need? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you said Thursday at 4:00,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you. Yeah. 10 years here in the community too. So
Yep.
Congratulations.
have a great night.
Yep, thank you. Next request before us this evening is Grant Blackford, Radiant Health.
Hi, good evening. I'm Lisa Dominici. I'm the President CEO of Grant Blackford Mental Health, now Radiant Health. And I'm really pleased to be with you this evening. We are in the process of a total transformation of community mental health centers to certified community behavioral health centers and clinics. And as part of that transformation, the investment that we're requesting tonight helps us build out our crisis stabilization unit. It helps us to build out mobile crisis as a way to respond to the statewide 988 system, and is also part of our build out of same day access. I'll give you a little bit of information about each of those. Our funding request, I believe, Angie will have to tell me if I'm incorrect. I believe it's $469,496. That was amended from our original letter that you may have received from us after we got information a few days later that an adjustment had been made. The crisis, the whole crisis continuum in the state of Indiana as a result of 988's nationwide expansion is really around someone to call, someone to respond, and a safe place to go. And so the crisis stabilization unit is a community location that will be on the first floor of our Radiant North location, which is the hospital location on the very first floor. It provides law enforcement the opportunity to drop off individuals who are in mental health crisis as opposed to taking them to the hospital or to the jail so that we can assess them and get them into the right services at the right time. We can keep people there for up to 23 hours before a determination about inpatient services or other services needs to be made. Mobile crisis is an arm of that. It allows your law enforcement folks to contact us directly, and mobile crisis can be dispatched to go and assist them, taking that burden off of our law enforcement officers and other first responders in the field, which has been lightly modeled already. We do it 8 to 5 during the day and on an on-call basis. We'll be doing that 24/7 starting around the holidays. We're looking at we should be fully staffed by about Thanksgiving time. And then the crisis stabilization unit is requiring a total design build. And so that is going to go live on February 1st, 2025. That's a requirement of the state and also of us as well. Same day access is currently already in action where if you have someone in crisis, we can take them in during the day and during the weekdays, and we can immediately assess them and get them right into services. We've gone from a 6-week waiting period to 2.5 hours, which is a pretty significant change in terms of service delivery to the individuals in our community who are struggling with mental health. So I just want to say thank you for your ongoing support. You guys have been really great to the organization over time, and especially in my new leadership as I'm learning. I've really appreciated it, and I look forward to seeing what we're able to do together in the future. So thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions? If you have.
Yeah, is there any questions or comments from the members? Looks like we're, requesting the 4% growth quota, and it's 469, 496.
Correct.
So you'll be able to get more of the people out of the jail that they got in there on mental problems?
Yeah, potentially. We're working, we had a stakeholder meeting the other day that includes law enforcement and others to make sure that they're aware, and they're already using us in the mobile crisis way. And that's preventing some individuals from having to go to jail. We've already served 600 people through same-day access just since March 1st, which has been really, and that's new people that were never part of our system, so.
So they got, according to their, they got 45% of people in there that's mental.
Right, we just heard that statistic the other day in our other meeting, didn't we? Yeah,
We do.
yeah, so we're anxious to get this off the ground. It'll make a big difference, I think.
Any other questions or comments from the members? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve Radiant Health request as presented.
Second.
I'll give it to Chuck. I have a motion from Mr. Scott, a second from Mr. Poling to approve the Radiant Health request at the growth quota at the 4%, which is 496. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next budget before us this evening would be EMS.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you tense?
It's been a fun week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Get you that mom.
The
Wayne
mom.
get you that mom,
To start cleaning up, especially that one hall.
that one hole.
Yeah, I need a shovel for that hall. They've got us, the office staff moved in back here, your conference area. The new building, the build on to the pole barn is housing the supervisors, and it has been housing the supervisors. They've been moved out there for, I don't know, 6-8 weeks. And the crews stay out there. There's no internet out there, there's no phones out there, so it's difficult for the office staff. Well, it's impossible for us to work there. Everything we have is internet-based or server-based. So we've moved up here temporarily. According to Marcus, if I'm not wrong, he's not here. They've ordered that, it's 2 weeks in for AT&T to do that internet line. I don't know what the timeline is on it, but he did that 2 weeks ago, so that's still pending. The inspector's coming tomorrow morning with the insurance company to assess. Meeting with us, he's gonna interview a couple of the crew members, wants to see, he wants to talk to the last people there. No one was in our building, they were all in the new one, but he doesn't know that, so he's just gonna take a look at stuff.
The commissioners did approve Monday to pay for office equipment and the updates, the internet, the assets needed. That was approved Monday, and of course, the fire was Monday evening, and I wasn't around, okay? So it was empty, but, so we will be able to be out there then, but until the internet or the telephones. So we're hanging out in your space.
we'll allow that, I guess.
No rent?
I heard someone say
No,
rent.
no rent, no.
Budget some rent?
No rent, but no, we all have heard about, the fire out there, and I'm sure it's a headache on your office and a strain, and we'll be supportive however we can of this body to allow you to continue to do your jobs. So, but yeah, if you want to start with the personnel piece
We
first,
can.
would be good.
Yeah.
Great.
Because Dwayne is planning on retiring, what we did was kind of redistribute. I don't know why he's titled as salaries. He's the 11-100. His title says salaries there in the account description. But we took his and mine, which is 14,001. And the current full-time person, 11,901. And decided to redistribute those to better reflect how I intend to work myself and the employee, the two office people next year. The one you gave me a couple months ago, the part-time person you gave me so we can train her. She'll be stepping into let me look at the line on them, the 14,001. And the current person we have working and the 11,901, I think I said those wrong the first time. 11,901, and then me at 11,100. If you take those three from this year and add them up, and then take the three I'm proposing that we have next year, it's about a $240 difference. Well, it's exactly a $240 difference. I intend to do different duties than Dwayne does. I do all the financials. I intend to keep that, but take on what he does now. The current full-time person is the frontline biller. The new person will also be a frontline biller once she gets certified, and she'll take some of my duties that aren't financially related. So it's $240 difference to redistribute those to make it reflect what those job duties will be next year.
Is there questions?
So the second,
That's the three.
the second certified coder billers is still open though, isn't it?
The 11,901.
I don't know, I'm looking at the salary sheet. It just shows that
Looking at the purple one.
new 2024, it shows it open. I'm just,
Well, see, it looks as if you're eliminating me on that sheet. See
Yes.
how mine's zeroed out?
yes.
It's basically taking Joni to a higher level. She's been there 9 years and she's a former sheriff employee too. So she's technically been with the county longer. She's been with us for 9 years. And the new girl, whose name is Caitlin, and me will be the three full-time office people. Those totals that I requested is $240 more than it was last year.
So it's really a person's already paid, it's already in that job.
Joni is already in that job. The new one is not. She's the one you gave me as part-time this year to start training.
Okay.
Last month or the prior meeting.
Got it.
Any other questions or comments?
That's office staff.
Angie, do you have any questions? Okay, you can proceed on.
Okay, EMP full-time, 4 full-time supervisors. We did ask for an increase in their hourly rate. Also, the increase in that line item is due to changing them to a 72-hour pay week, pay scale instead of 70. That way their line item reflects the hours they actually work. Angie would probably be better at me than, breaking that down, but part of the increase that I've asked for there is because 72 hours in the past, we paid them for a 70-hour, pay, and then 2 of their hours had to come out of our, part-time people's line item.
Angie, is that in the policy book or, you know, I'll have to look at that.
I believe it is part of the policy handbook. And I've talked to them about this. And it's just with our new timekeeping system and, we would have to have them write in a whole new part to the program to accommodate that because we currently have just 70 and 80.
Yeah, so we couldn't go against
That's
whatever
why-
the book is.
Well, the policy book, it's being reviewed, so.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a bad thing to consider them 80-hour employees. I don't necessarily care about that. What's made it an accounting nightmare is paying them 70 out of their line item and then another 2 out of the part-time line item. That doesn't really reflect what we're paying the supervisors when we do that. We talked about that when we asked for overtime at one time.
Our trucks
8
run
is fine,
12 hours a day.
12-hour shifts.
So in order to get them there to fill it in, they'd have to work 10 hours, 2 days at 12 hours and the next day 10 hours to make 70. And we can't get somebody to come in to cover them for 2 hours. So they need
If
to
they're-
work.
If they're 80 hours, they're not penalized for only working 72, then I don't have a problem with it. It's up to 80, that's fine, as long as the time system will accommodate that.
You could possibly take them from being a salary position to just a plain hourly position.
And that's not an issue either.
Because that's, in a sense, the way we have central dispatch,
Yeah, that's not an issue.
because they work 12-hour shifts. So some weeks they work 36 and the next week they work 42. So,
Right. And that wouldn't work for us, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, in order to keep the truck in service, the hour that we wanted in service, that would be fine. I don't really care how it works out. I don't like paying them 70 out of one and 2 out of the other. It never reflects what we paid them in the end. And it depletes the,
Overtime.
line item unnecessarily. That's 8 hours every single pay that comes out of there that's really going to full-time people.
Well-
But,
We'll look into that.
but that's part of the reason for that increase, not only just the rate. I figured it on 72 hours.
So we don't want an 80-hour pay and only working 72 hours though.
Correct. And they would only be clocking in and clocking out 6A to 6B unless they work over.
Right.
But I don't want them either, they're not working 80, so as long as that worked, that's fine with me. I don't,
Yeah, I would say most of your salary people know what they make an hour anyway.
I do.
So if you just do it by the hour, if it makes the cleanest way of going, then
Would be willing to bet they consider themselves hourly employees.
because they clock in and out anyhow. Yeah, I would think that would make it. Yeah, that's something to look at.
Yeah, we'll discuss.
so I think what you're asking, if I'm understanding, is the hourly rate now is 1870 for 23.
Mhm.
You're asking to increase it to 2118,
13.
13. There you go.
Okay, any other questions?
The next big one is the part-timers. I did ask for an increase of theirs to 19 an hour. Shane and I talked about it earlier. That's the going rate in town. They're currently making 1636, 36 or 86? 1686 an hour. 19 is what the other 2 ambulance services are paying. That's just how we came up with that number, trying to keep up with the scale that's going around. It would increase the drivers a little bit too, 1324 from a little bit.
They got up 1349 down to 1320.
No, that's not right.
You gave us an increase in their salary, which was at $18 per hour, which put us ahead. And as soon as we did that, all of the private services bumped it up to swipe it's stealing EMTs from one service to another, because they're gonna go where they can make the most money. So it's,
They're following up, maybe we'll lower yours, no lower theirs.
oh no, don't you do that. I don't like your thinking. I'll lose all of them unless you'll come out and run, but we get to tell you where to shove it then. It's a battle. It's a game.
You want to
Any-
talk about
Any other questions as far as the salaries, personnel? Comments?
Three. Yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah, she should get to it, I think.
I know. And the 23
Give you a
salary
second, three.
1349, your request was 1344.
I think we're ready for the rest of your budget. You are.
Rest of it, actually, the overtime budget that you approved a couple months ago, maybe this year, has worked out great. It's been exactly like you expected it to be. We've not used it all, and it's done exactly what we wanted it to. And then that part-time one will be gone then, when Caitlin goes full-time. That's about it for salaries, doctor salary. I guess, we'll have a new medical director, but we've just put the percentage rate in there for her, so, or him, whoever.
And that's part of the health department as well?
Uh,
Or is that your own?
that's how they expect it to be.
Okay,
The doctor will, whoever they appoint will get to decide if they want to do EMS or not, I guess. I've not been involved in that, hiring process at all. So that's gonna be a decision.
okay. Is there any questions regarding the personnel services? Okay, I think you can move on.
Okay, in supplies, we left it the same. In, medical supplies, we increased it, that's just cost of supply increases, just by 2,000. Left protective clothing the same, left garage and motors the same. We still don't have any, date on our ambulances either. We did hear, what did we hear?
They did call and request the paint scheme or the paint numbers that we
Sounded
wanted,
the same.
which means that it's in the process. So,
And where are they coming from? Like what state or
Ohio.
Ohio?
no.
It's
that-
It's not Lifestar or?
No,
Vanguard?
no, it's, I forget, it's, up by Goshen.
Okay,
Crossroads?
No,
No.
but we're expecting this year, you think? Since
What's that?
you're expecting this year?
2024, yes.
That's weird.
Give me time to get out of town.
It did sound promising. Asking for those paint numbers is a good sign.
Yeah. Well, at least by they didn't forget about them.
Med Tech. We've used that other company for mowing fire.
Yes.
I can't think of it now. That's the only increase in supplies there was medical supplies. That's just because everything's going up. Do you want me to move on?
Yes, please.
Okay, we asked for 1,300 extra in, that's called the ambulance service payment. It's what we pay for our linens and sharp, disposal to the hospital. It's been $384 a month for, as long as I've been with EMS. And they have asked for an increase this year, or this coming year. So we reflected that as another $1,300. And then the radio we talked about, we put that in there in case we do have to buy those for that phase two. However, if, you're actually gonna do a conglomeration like we talked about earlier, Sheriff, EMS, fire, that doesn't have to be in my budget.
Yeah, I know we had some conversations before the meeting, as the county gets ready to go phase two on communication, it's going to require a lot of radios to be updated. Not to say that the old ones wouldn't work, we're just not using the system to its potential. So I really think that, this is just me talking, that we need as a county to figure out how many radios we need and then either use ARPA funds or general fund dollars and do a larger purchase than having, select groups, buy radios, so to speak. So I wouldn't have a problem with removing it, just knowing that at some point that it will be thousands of dollars to upgrade radios. And I think everyone that's been involved with that process knows that. I think there's a timeline that is 25, I think 2025.
25.
That we're talking, the whole county to get the
city of
upgrades.
Marion went ahead and purchased it for all of their police, fire, parks, all of that. Gas City has done the same thing. They went ahead as Gas City. I don't know what funds they used. They may have used the Recovery Act money as well, but they did purchase for all of their police and their fire, as well as the electrical and garbage, the maintenance and so forth. And it would be prudent that the county did it all, from sheriff's department to all of them. We put it in there only because if we have to do it out of our budget, it's there. If not, it's one of those things. We're gonna have to do it. The other concern is with Central Dispatch as well as us, the legislature is looking at all of this and all of the software that is used, because fire departments, EMS, they all had territories that we responded to or assigned. And the legislature wants all of the 911 systems interchangeable, using the same compatible software, so that if it all comes down to the closest responding unit, regardless of whether it's in this town, that town, or whatever. So the legislature might mandate that. They were considering it last year, but they put it in a study group because of a situation where they had down by Noblesville, Zionsville, where an individual had a cardiac arrest and there was one unit 4 miles, but it was in another county, another district, and the other one took longer to get there, and realizing. So that's part of that updates on the system.
So if
I don't know how it's gonna work or what the legislature will decide, but territories are out the window.
if we was to revert back, it'd be the $11,000. Would that be sufficient? Okay, is there any questions or comments? Proceed on, please.
Capital outlays? Oh, repair and maintenance, I'm sorry, the new one.
Yeah, the 33,000, what's that for?
That is, for items that we were paying out of other line items, a mail machine. We send out, hundreds of statements. It's a folder stuffer, basically, which did get damaged in the fire as well.
Great.
Um,
So you might get a new one then.
we might.
Right?
Now, there is we always do a maintenance agreement. It's not very much a year, but it does, believe me, it's a salty machine, so it comes in handy. I did not have access to a printer today. Do you remember? I know I should have asked you, but I didn't. I didn't have access to print stuff back here because we're gonna use this printer that you guys use out here. I don't know, I don't remember, I can't think of what else.
The reason, Angie may enlighten, McCourt advised us to change the line items to reflect any maintenance agreements, any repair and maintenance, so that we put them all together in one. Do you remember specifically? And so that's what we did on those. We took those.
Is it the scheduling?
We have a maintenance that's in COTS, that's a maintenance,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's what it is. The cot maintenance is 12,000 a year.
right?
The, not the chair.
The Masimo or the
Yeah. I'm sorry.
CPR
Oh.
mechanism,
Oh, yeah.
that's all on a that's all on a maintenance agreement. And so McWirt suggested that we put all of those together in one line item on maintenance. Like, for example, those cardiac machines, Masimo, they were brand new, which you all funded some of them. One of the motherboards went bad under warranty and they replaced it. That alone was $11,000 for a motherboard for one of those automatic CPR. So that's why we went ahead and bit the bullet on the maintenance agreement because, oh gosh, who knows how long? And you start replacing $11,000 part. So that's why that is reflected in that amount. We combined maintenance on the mailing machine, on the COTS, on the Masimos
Lucas.
and the Lucas, the Lucas devices and CPR. So that's,
Really just stuff, we were paying for that. And you just asked us to separate it out of there.
So all these items you were paying for out of your budget in the past. But there's not a reduction in any of the other. So it looks like you went ahead and maxed out the 2, 3, 400 accounts and then adding 33,000. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
part of that is because the Lucas devices have gone off of warranty into the maintenance on that.
No, what I'm saying,
Oh.
say for instance, some of these bills, $1,000 of it was paid out of supplies. Well, supplies wasn't reduced to $500 to make up for this one line item.
I think she said that it was Garage and Motors that was being
Right.
paid.
Everything was taken out of it.
Yes.
And the cots.
So should we reduce Garage and Motors or?
Well, we're holding our breath.
The reason we didn't do that is because of the age of the trucks and the fact that we don't know when we're getting the new ones. We could, I see what you're saying. We could have done that. The stuff we were paying for the maintenance could have reduced that. But we're afraid to do that until we get those new trucks. We just paid for a new transmission, a new engine.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Obviously, just because it's budgeted, don't mean you have to spend it. And so,
Exactly. Exactly, and that could come down, actually. And depending on when we get the trucks.
We have really upped our repair. In fact, the garage with them, it's like
This is as of June 30th.
that truck that comes in, anything wrong, I want it fixed right now because we don't know how long we're gonna have to use those. So we are really maintaining them at a much higher level. And we may not need all of that. And if we get the new trucks, of course, they're gonna be on warranty. So that would go out the window. So, yeah, it could go down to almost zero, other than fuel. Of course, that has.
That's gonna go up.
Right, the fuel has increased as well, unbelievably, but what can I say? We're all experiencing that.
proceed on.
Equipment. And pagers, we left the same. We haven't spent we've spent more than that out of pagers now. it's not reflected in this. I believe we've spent more than that now. But I don't have the number.
Any other questions or comments from the members? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion regarding categories 2 and 3. If you wanted to lower the communication to the 11,000, just know that at some point the county funds are going to have to buy radios and for. Is there a motion?
Mr. President, yes. Regarding EMS, move to approve categories 2 as presented. Category 3 as presented with the following: reducing communication expense from $151,000 to $11,000. Category 4 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Scott, a second for Mr. Lemming to approve within the EMS budget. Categories 2, categories 3 with the change in communication expense to 11,000, and category 4 as presented. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I believe that's all.
Gentlemen, we thank you. Can we use your room?
Sure, why not?
We've already moved all our stuff in there.
As you know, it has our name on it, but that don't mean anything. Just scratch ours out and put yours on there. Make you feel better.
Put an EMS.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
Hey, this stick is anywhere.
No.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mobile command center still available.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can camp anywhere now.
Thank you.
Thanks. No air conditioning. Yeah.
That's what we use.
Our next budget before us this evening would be the auditor's budget.
Okay.
Do you want to skip yours to later and let Tiffany go?
Switch with Tiffany, that way.
Why don't we?
Go ahead and do it like a-
Let's do that.
You're here for the entire thing anyway.
Let's go ahead and, we'll go ahead and do the treasurer's budget next. Save you some time sitting there.
Well, now you got me all out of whack.
Good order.
Great. I have just a few things that I have to each of you. Just bring that some looks over there. I mean,
You probably ordered pizza and you're just waiting on it, aren't you?
Thanks.
There's some. Okay. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me this evening. As always, I respect your decision when it comes to minding the bottom line and overseeing fiduciary needs for not only the offices, but the county. Typically, my budgetary needs are small in fashion and don't require a lot of attention. However, this year, I feel it necessary to be extremely transparent on how my office is being impacted and therefore why we have additional needs when it comes to the office budget. I know that you will not be making any decisions regarding salaries this evening. However, I do have a few thoughts on that. I know you would like for us to go through that first, but if I could save that for a little bit later, I would appreciate that. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my account 2100, the supplies. My team and I have been very vigilant in minding our own bottom line when it comes to supplies since 2018. Every year we look to see where we can get the best deal for our needed supplies. At times using my own funds to cover the expense. You see, our office doesn't have an office credit card. So for us to be able to purchase supplies, it makes it a little bit difficult. Quill is the company that we typically go through for our supply orders. They are phenomenal. However, they're not typically the cheapest. So then I'm tasked with deciding whether quicker delivery and more costly is more beneficial for my office than paying it, eating the taxes and waiting to get those funds dispersed back to me. Also, inflation has drastically impacted our office, and I would like to now point out the following information. The treasurer's office is responsible to produce tax statements. When a taxpayer loses a copy of that tax statement, needs to provide information for homeowners insurance, is needing information for title searching, fails to provide a tax statement to complete a transaction in our office, needs a liquor license, a mobile home permit, to make a credit card payment, needs a copy of their receipts from the past several years. You get the idea. The treasurer's office is responsible to provide those copies at no additional cost. In 2022, for regular copy paper, it was $50 for 10 reams of paper. In 2023, that cost has jumped to over $70 for 10 reams of paper. Each ream has 500 sheets of paper in it. In 2022, for perforated paper, now this paper is the sliced paper that we use for tax statements to reprint those. Last year in 2022, that cost was $113 for a carton. There's only 5 reams in that carton. In 2023, that cost has jumped to over $122 a carton. We've made cuts in the office to reduce the use of printing to save on paper needs. We no longer reprint statements for mail that's been sent in, or mail payments that have been sent in. We simply just write that tax information on the envelope, so it's not really time efficient either, but it saves us from printing tax statements. We actively email information instead of mailing that information. However, the fact remains that producing printed copies is an expense that our office must maintain. Therefore, we're always in need of copy paper and perforated paper, amongst other supplies that are needed on a daily basis. Our budget has religiously stayed at $2,000 since 2022, always again doing my best to stay within that range, taking on cost personally or simply not spending until we know that we have that in our budgetary goals. However, inflation simply isn't going anywhere, and neither are the needs of the taxpayers. Paper products, pens, tape, calculator tape, these are expenses that the cost has risen on, and that's just naming a select few. I'm requesting my supply account to increase to $2,500 for 2024. Account 21400, tax statements. If spending in my supply budget for paper wasn't expensive enough, now we arrive at the portion of the budget for preparation, creation, and mailing of those tax statements. My cost for 2023 to prepare and create tax statements was $9,569.88. for 40,111 parcels. In 2022, that cost was $8,532. And as you will see here momentarily, the postage account line, I'm not looking to have any more surprises than I did this year when I opened that invoice. I'm requesting that the tax statement account for the 21400 to increase to 15,000. Account 32300, my postage account. Now, I'm not sure if you guys stay up on the cost of postage. I can only presume that most of you pay your statements or bills through online billing platforms, or you pay in person for more local bills. But you should know that postage rates increased twice in 2023. The first increase happened in January, taking the cost of postage from 60 cents to 63 cents. Then again in July, postage increased from 63 cents to 66 cents. And to add fuel to that ever-increasing flame, the USPS is expecting to increase rates again. Postage rates have gone up 32% since 2019. The USPS stating that the increase is due to needing to offset higher operating expenses fueled by inflation, as well as the effects of a previously defective pricing model. Well, where they're needing to offset expenses, that's adding to my cost. My estimated postage invoice to mail out 40,111 parcels that need to be collected on for 2023, $20,613.32. That expense in 2022 is only $13,642. Imagine my shock when I opened up that invoice and have only $15,000 budgeted for that expense. Thankfully, they overestimated that postage cost and I was able to utilize the overage to put towards my mailing cost. However, what if next year it's not an overestimation? I'm requesting my postage account to increase to 20,500 for 2024. With that, I want to note that as of June 2023, we've partnered with a credit card processing and communications platform vendor called Invoice Cloud. Our hope that with moving forward with Invoice Cloud is that we will see a drastic increase in digital payments in signups for paperless statements. Our intention is to see the need to mail statements reduced through the online signups for paperless. It's also our intention to reduce the need to hire seasonal help in our office by decreasing mailed in payments through the taxpayers registering to receive that paperless statement. The digital payment platform is a simple, easy to use payment solution that literally takes 60 seconds to make a tax payment, registering an account, and even setting up an auto payments and digital reminders. Our go live date for this platform is tentatively scheduled for October 18th. Therefore, getting people registered will, fingers crossed, start to see a reduction in the cost of mailed statements coming for the spring billing cycle of 2024. The account 32300, travel and conference. I have always believed that education is so important and valuable experience for all of my team members. Getting that information secondhand generally doesn't boast the same value. When you're in the front lines getting that information immediately, you can feel a sense of pride and motivation to continue to want to have a better performance in your position. My team has expressed a need to want to be involved in learning experiences that are afforded to us through the Treasurers Association. And I've always been told, if you aren't willing to grow, you need to go. So it's my job as the elected official for the Treasurer's Office to be able to provide those learning environments to my staff. So I'm requesting that my travel and conference account to increase to $650 for 2024. Training and education. It's, again, having access to additional training seminars that are offered for my team. I'm requesting an increase to $300 for that. Repair and maintenance, I have no changes. Dues and subscriptions. I'm requesting this account to decrease to $50. And then my account and equipment, there's no changes for that as well. Now, you did mention earlier when you got started that your number 2 goal was to make sure that there were fair wages. So here I am at the salary portion. Thank you for waiting. Again, I know that there's going to be no decisions based on what will happen with our salaries. However, I come to you this evening to express some careful considerations you might think on for 2024. In 2018, I had 2 full-time positions in the office. This does not include my chief deputy position. When Sarah resigned, I was voted in through caucus that left a full-time vacancy. At that time, I was denied through the council to continue to have that full-time position, but that I could hire as many part-time positions that my heart pleased. In my opinion, with all due respect, that was the worst decision for my office. Instead of offering a position of longevity, I was handed a position of revolving staff. Since 2018, I have held 5 different part-time staff. The time, effort, patience, availability, and not to mention the funds that have been spent on training a part-time position holds over this office has not been cost-effective in the slightest. It's been quite the opposite. Since 2018, that's 1 new part-time person every 365 days. And if I could add, in 365 days in my office, you still cannot thoroughly know every single job duty to have in this office. So to combat the temporary taste that part-time leaves in our presence, the rate of the position should be inviting, right? Not really. I have a part-time position where they're expected to meet the requirements of a full-time job, but without the benefits of a full-time position. So here's the snowball effect. Knowing that Grant County is one of the lowest paid counties in the state, it's hard to be compensatory in a part-time role. Fielding full-time responsibilities and expect those individuals to stay long-term without being able to find a better career opportunity. This is where I've put in time and effort to consider the current staff that I do have that remain loyal and dependable, all the while being considerate of future potential position holders. My full-time first deputy, Delaney Zepp, shows up day in and day out every day at 7:45 a.m. to open the office. She's done that for the last 7 years.
She oversees all of her full-time responsibilities to a level of efficiency that is something to admire. Her dedication to growing in her position and to adapt with change has been commendable over these last several years. Longevity and dependability in the workforce in today's age is something you just cannot come by, if at all. Therefore, it needs to be said that as a full-time first deputy treasurer, Delaney is making the same amount salary-wise as a part-time position that is held in the office. There's literally an 80-cent difference on the hour from my part-time to Delaney. You can argue that Delaney gets benefits, therefore her position holds more value in it. But does it? Tell me how you would feel to work a full-time job for a company for 7 years just to have a part-time person with far less time than you come in and make exactly what you make. To me, it's never made sense, and I want to do my part to correct that. So if I'm being told that full-time positions are less valuable than, or full-time positions are far less valuable than part-time positions, I'm going to tell you that's wrong. My girls put up with several issues in the office day in and day out when it comes to irate taxpayers, people who have an issue paying taxes in general. And they do it hardly ever hearing a please or a thank you. I do my absolute best to make certain of the negative situations do not dim the positive that they do for my office or this community. And the simplest way that I can make sure that they feel valued is to aggressively come to bat for raises that they desperately deserve, especially Delaney. I've asked for a significant raise for Delaney. Her current salary is $31,018. I'm requesting a raise to get her to $35,018. This amount is more in line with the value that her position holds in the treasurer's office, a full-time position that is desperately needed to maintain efficiency in making certain that all of our deadlines are met in a timely manner. For myself and my chief deputy, I requested a $2,000 raise each. As the USPS kindly put it, due to needing to offset higher operating expenses fueled by inflation. I will also be attending council meetings to request that my part-time position be reinstated to a full-time position. For the treasurer's office, being a full-time employee immensely adds value to the overall efficiency of the office operations and for the tax constituents, as well as making certain that all responsibilities are maintained in a timely manner. Thank you for your patience as I got through that. The items that I handed out before I started, the first sheet there is showing counties comparable to the size of Gregg County by either population or parcel count. As you look through that, I've also made sure to put on there their chief deputy salaries as well as their full-time first deputies and if they have second full-time positions or part-time positions. At the very bottom there, I've highlighted for you, on average for a population of 51,520, a parcel count of 35,955, the average salary count for these counties, $56,500.04. This information can be found through the treasurer's directory that's given to us every year through the association. What I'm currently making in a population of 66,263 at a parcel count of 41,623, I'm currently at $44,617. Now, if you flip that sheet around to the backside, you'll see that counties that are making similar to the salary that I'm currently making, and you can deduce by the population and the parcel count that they are far less. So I just urge you to take into consideration these figures as you're looking through for the budgetary goals when you talk about fair wages and compensation for those here in the county. The next thing that I have is from Paul Joyce, who was speaking at our 2023 conference. You guys have a copy of that letter. I won't read through everything. I've highlighted on there, but the conversation that he spoke at the conference was fairly compensating Indiana County treasurers and is important for several factors. I don't feel like this should be just for treasurers. I feel like it should be for all employees, department heads. Making sure that we're fairly compensated is a goal that you guys have entirely. Basically, what it is stating is fairly compensating Indiana County treasurers is a vital aspect of ensuring effective financial management, ethical conduct, and accountability that is handling public funds. It not only attracts qualified individuals, but also contributes to the overall financial health and stability of the county. So as you are taking into consideration budgetary needs for our county, please make sure to consider that. Thank you.
Is there any questions or comments regarding the treasurer's budget?
Just three, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
So I just want to clarify. So for postage, you had 25,000, but in your presentation, you said you were asking for 20,500.
And she sent me that little note, so
Okay.
yes, I need to clarify that 25,000.
It is 25. And
Yes.
then for travel and conference, you said you were asking for 650
Yes.
instead of 700.
That's that. Do I?
Yeah.
I just think that's 650. My apologies, I was looking at the wrong sheet when I was doing this. Yes, 700. Don't mind me.
And then and on purple sheets has your salary as 49,881, and you just stated that your salary is 44.
That's based off of the 2022 salary, yes.
But you're currently making 49,881,
Yes,
so 5,000 more than what this is.
yes. Still asking for 2,000. So my requested salary would be 51,881. Chief Deputy Andrea Pritchett would be $40,003. Delaney Zett, $35,018. My part-time overtime would be 40,000 in total. My part-time deputy at a hourly rate of $16.50, which is 25 cents more different than this current year. And then keeping the clerical basic for seasonal help at $12.31.
You talked about in your spiel about eliminating the part-time and making it full-time,
Yeah.
but this schedule don't reflect that.
That is making an adjustment for that, yes. After talking to other counties this week.
So what would your request be for next year?
For the part-time salary?
Yeah, like what, right now, you're budgeted, you're for 40,000 or 39,604. You're gonna create a position, is that gonna be,
We would, so when we were not given that full-time position, that salary was put into the part-time position, so I would take that back out of that part-time salary.
okay, and do you have an idea? Like, were we talking 32,000?
So I would keep it around 31,000, absolutely. 31, 32. And it could.
I mean, would this be a first deputy?
Second.
It would be
Be a second deputy?
Yeah, because Delaney is my first deputy.
What he's getting at is you would add $30,000 at a second deputy and you would reduce your part-time from 39,600 to 9,600, let's say.
Correct, which the goal is with getting with Invoice Cloud to reduce the mailed in payments by hoping that they will sign up for the paperless option. That way we don't have to have as much mailed in payments. We have reduced our seasonal help drastically since I've been on board 2018 as treasurer. We've taken on a lot of that responsibilities on our own, and we're also looking into lockbox options, so that way it can divert the mailed in payments that we have to process.
Mhm.
We can divert that to another option, a banking facility.
I know, the electronic, I mean, everything's going electronic, seems like. Most of the people I know are old school, want to go to the bank, want to pay their taxes.
Which they can still do.
The fees, what fees have you negotiated to make the electronic not be 2.5%?
So the fees for Invoice Cloud are slightly more. They're sitting at, and I'd have to get it, but I believe $2 for e-checks. Debit and credit are different processing fees, but that's paid through the tax constituents. However, you're having more options such as paying through a QR code. They can send you a text so you can pay directly through that link and it takes you 30 seconds. You're sent reminders, which if I were to print out and mail out reminders for all parcels, it would cost me another $20,000.
What does the law say that is the bare minimum you have to do?
I only have to mail once a year.
once a year?
And it has to be, I believe 21 days, 21 or 27 days before the deadline.
Okay,
So being able to set up automatic payments so they can have that deducted right out of their accounts is gonna save them not only time, but it's gonna have them making their payments more efficiently and on time.
And you're setting up with the bank, that's gonna cost us money by taking that in on a card, right? A percentage, just like it cost me when I take the card.
yeah, there's a credit card fee, but
So the bank won't take a credit card. So it's still a credit card that we will process through our vendor.
if,
Yeah, but your
They-
vendor's gonna charge you how much percent?
They charge the taxpayers. So I believe it's 2.95% for a credit. And I'm not entirely, I can't remember what it is for debit at the moment.
for a credit card, you're saying it's like,
For credit, it's
Yeah.
completely different.
now, what about just withdrawal from your bank account?
I don't believe that there's any fee for that,
Okay,
so.
Bank and Star?
Do I, I'm sorry,
Does your office Bank and Star?
we have an account through there.
It's this account will be set up to Star.
No, so this account is a credit card vendor company, so we will process the credit card payments, but those payments will come in through our operational account.
How secure are they?
They're very secure. This was a situation that was a year in the making of even talking with them. We had several conversations with the commissioners before they were even confident enough to get on board. I talked with local banking facilities to see what their rates would be, as well as what the current vendor that we have now, how they compared to it, as far as making sure that we are in day and age of digital payment solutions. It's by far one of the greatest ones that we could have. As far as going into Google Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal, being able to pay through those digital platforms. So
One other question, no one else has anything. You said something about all the copies for taxpayers. You make a lot of paper copies. Why don't we charge?
that's a great question, because there's never been an ordinance in place to charge for copies.
But doesn't the clerk's office and all them charge so many cents per?
We charge.
it's up to your office to present.
I think you should.
That to the commissioners.
To them, it would be like 10 cents a copy,
So
so.
you charge, it's gonna be, I can't see a taxpayer paying, I pay a lot of tax and property tax.
Mhm.
Taking credit card or debit card, you know what I mean, I'm old school.
Mhm.
I'm gonna send my wife up there.
And you can still do that. Yeah, we just wanted to make sure.
For the taxpayer too, I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, if these people gonna charge the taxpayer fees on that property.
well, we currently charge them as well. So our current fees are 2.55% to pay with a credit. It's a flat $4 fee to pay with a debit, and it's $2 to pay with an e-check. So
And is this other company that you're gonna do all this with gonna be cheaper than what you're charging now or more?
they're slightly more, but they're offering more products and solutions for you, such as auto payments, being able to set up digital reminders, being able to set up your account registration, being able to pay through a link that's text through the phone. So we're hoping that it will decrease the cost of mailing out tax statements by paperless signups, as well as getting more of a digital platform going for our online payments. So it will reduce our cost for mailed out statements.
Possible.
That's the goal.
And I got one more question.
Or is it gonna be a hard one?
It's gonna be hard.
You know what?
Is there something wrong with you guys' phone?
No?
I've called up for several times. I can't get nobody, never answered. I have to send my wife up there.
Brady came in the other day.
And I called you guys like 20 times.
Do you have the right number? Because we did have people who were calling a number that wasn't even our office. We have no idea where they got it.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Yeah. That's a great question. Thank you.
Can I still pay a check? And
You can come in and see me as often as you want.
no, I don't want to.
No, I value taxpayers coming in and seeing us face to face, especially if, they're kind about it. So our idea with the Invoice Cloud is just to get that paperless solution up so that we can get the cost of those mailed out statements down, because we don't see that figure
See, I
decreasing.
think I have a printout of mine for my taxes.
I'm telling you. You won't.
Okay.
They want you to use your own paper.
There's no papers and stuff like that.
Okay, well, is there any other questions or comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion for 2, 3, and 4.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Lemming, a second from Mr. Connor to approve the treasurer's budget categories 2, 3, and 4 as presented. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Perfect. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. Have a good evening.
Yes, you too.
Next budget before us this evening will be EMA.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello?
Should be short and hopefully fairly easy. See what the sweet bar. So we can start with the salary, if you'd like explanation of it. We did request basically just 10% across the board rate increase for salaries. That night, but trust your government what to do for the employees in Back Bay, Grant County. I have great confidence there. I would like to add though, so the last few years, typically what had happened, the state would reimburse the county 50% of salaries for the EMA office. There was a change in the state scheduling, how they would do that, and it's supposed to be based on population. However, at the state, I think there was a budgeting snafu. The appropriate amount of money did not get switched over, so we only received about $18,000 last year, I believe it was. That has been redone at the state. The correct money is budgeted, and they are going back to the 50% match rather than just base that on.
Will they credit for last year or not?
Probably not.
It's just a,
Yeah, I think we just got to leave that. If there becomes an opportunity to apply for that, I certainly will. Anyone like the state's not really very important about it.
but right now you're hearing that it's going to be back to the 50%.
Yes, in fact, we just finalized this week, today. Well, we just finalized the process, so we got to supply them with all of our levy twos and our time sheets and everything from 2022. So we hopefully will get that this fall. So any questions on salary? We move on.
I have one quick question. I could have swore I seen Amanda Simmons' name on another category, like corrections. Does she work in 2 offices?
She was doing some work for the health department as a preparedness liaison, I believe it was.
There are 2 Amanda Simmons,
Oh.
so that's why you see it.
Okay,
Yeah.
just making sure I'm not going crazy.
Don't anybody double dissing.
No, I don't-
Wants to work out of it. Yes, yeah, my man is part-time.
okay, gotcha.
I'm the only full-time employee for Grant County Emergency Management. Anything else?
I have nothing. Anybody else? Okay, proceed on.
Increase in supplies, we requested basically to go from 1,000 to 2,000. We were anticipating some supply issues, some needs. However, as I stated earlier, I was able to get the state to pay for some things that they typically don't. But I can't guarantee that that will happen again next year. So we get those expenses continue to rise, and we haven't asked for an increase there for a long time. But as long as I can get reimbursement or some of that covered from the state, we'll continue to do that way. Everything else has remained the same. Correct.
Do, in your equipment outlay, do you have anything, the 30,000
So we
mind.
did spend that money out, but there again, we was able to receive a contribution of $29,000 American Electric Power. And that bought us some radios, so there again, did not have to dip into your pocket. Great, I&M was gracious in that donation, and we put that to good use. So our communications, we're in good shape there. We're ahead of the curve for once, in that regard.
Did you say you want to head up the rest of them?
Not really.
Okay.
One other thing we did do, so we did launch, we did launch a drone program this year that actually paid dividends already. We had back-to-back tornadoes that we had to do a lot of storm damage on. And by the way, I do have a change in deputy director. Our previous director, Josh Spankhauser, who is also my drone pilot, stepped down, but he remained with us, so he went from a part-time position to a volunteer position. We hired a new person there, but hope to at some point, maybe next year I'll come back to you, but maybe add a position, a part-time position for a drone pilot. That program is really working out. We've done the storm damage. We've done 2 different missing persons flights with the sheriff's department. So that just continues to go. And we bought the new plans that we haven't been able to get to because the other nonsense we're doing, but shouldn't say nonsense, it's important stuff, but it's kept us from some of our task at hand.
Are there any other questions or comments from the members?
The $30,000 equipment thing, so worked just as we hoped that it would. Our intention is really not to spend that money, but in this case, we were able to get a better rate, a better price on the radios that we did buy. Had that fund sitting there, we could jump on. We actually jumped on with the city of Marion when they made their big purchase. So if that money had not been there, we would have. There was a substantial rate increase, like a 15% increase in radios. So we were able to use that fund for that, but plan is for that really to revert back. So we hope to keep it there. It is helpful. I mean, if you help me manage that. I'm out of the lane, so. Great.
Any other questions or comments from the members? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion to accept categories 2, 3, and 4 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Lemming, a second from Mr. Poland to approve within the EMA budget categories 2, 3, and 4 as presented. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. The next budget before us this evening will be, we're going to 5-minute break. Let's take a 5-minute recess. What time is it?
7:20.
It was 7:30.
Yeah.
Individuals.
They should just.
Back to being recorded here. Recess is ended and we'll get back to the next budget before us this evening would be the auditor's budget.
Can you feel the heat on your back?
I'm sure it's.
You'll see on my salaries, I've asked for a $5,000 increase for all the staff. I've also asked for a 10% increase of part-time.
And what did you say about part-time?
10%.
10%.
Yeah.
Are there any questions or comments regarding auditors?
What's the billing deputy? 70%, 75%?
They are, a portion of their salary is paid out of the Plat Room Fund. So
Okay.
that's why you see it's split out.
Thank you.
The salary sheet, it shows the amount that's paid from Platt.
Their total would be there.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions or comments? There are none, proceed on.
Supplies I kept the same. Um, Under other services and charges, the codified expenses the same. Legal counsel is the same. Travel and conference is the same. There is a $40,000 increase to the software support, and that increase is due to the commissioners buying the new AOD timekeeping system. We are also looking at making the W-2s available through the doc delivery system instead of having to rely on just me being able to print those for them if they need reprints.
Is that a one-time?
It is a one-time fee, and then each year it's $1 per W-2.
Is the 40,000 a one-time fee? Or is that a continual agreement? Maintenance?
Well, it says on their estimated fees, that the attendance on a demand fees, $28,000 is an estimated amount. And yes, I believe that is an annual charge.
The 28,000 is the annual charge.
Yes.
And you feel like that, that's worth the money in your office?
I have no comment.
Good. Because I know that there was conversation as, you know, it has to save somebody time and effort and all that. And Yeah.
We're still in the beginning stages of it. We've had some setbacks with some of the departments. And it's, yeah. So it's gonna take at least a year to get all departments on the system, which isn't unusual. Most counties have the same issues in the same timeframes when it comes to getting this going.
Does Lao work with us pretty well?
Oh, yeah, it's a Lao-based program.
so what is the total fee for Lao? Is that all out of your
Yes,
budget?
all of Laos, yeah, the tax software, the financial software, the timekeeping software, it's all combined on my budget.
Okay.
I did ask for $100 increase to dues, which there is a sheet in here to show that there, or maybe I forgot. to put it in here. There was an increase to the dues for next year. We received a notification. And there are no increases to subscriptions and no request for equipment.
Any questions or comments regarding the auditor's fund categories 2, 3, and 4?
What Peter, you have a raise back in the paper.
I use it a lot
Get-
now.
I think she's turning it down.
Monday come over here and slap.
Just knowing what we know with software and every user fee that comes, just imagine, 20 years from now, what that will be.
No.
I mean, it's just gonna continue to be maintenance agreements and software contracts. Well, I don't see any way to get away from it. Anyways, any questions or comments? Number 2 pencils, okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, Mr. President, to approve the auditor's budget 2, 3, and 4 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Lemming, a second from Mr. Scott to approve the auditor's budget request in categories 2, 3, and 4 as presented. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next fund in our book this evening is the Plot Book Fund, which is a fee-driven fund
That's correct.
in your office.
Yes. On the salaries, you'll see, like I said to Mark, a portion of, 3 of the deputies are paid from here. So you'll see a slight increase because of the $5,000 that I asked for the employees.
Is there any questions or comments regarding the salary piece? If there are none, you can move on.
I asked for no increases in my supply account, training and education, or rental of equipment. Those are all the same.
How, do you still order paper copies of plot books?
No,
No.
because everything is, inside, within the software. So we do not do,
Does the county have, can a taxpayer, whoever log on to the internet and see
transfer history.
Partials.
Yes, they can.
without paying a fee or?
Yes,
Okay.
there is no fees.
I remember when I first started on the council, that was one of the, you got a plot book every year or whatever.
We
Years
do,
ago.
we still do have plat books. We actually just ordered a few more so that we have them in the office and available to the public, but they're what, $20 a plat book?
Okay. Is there any questions regarding the plot book fund? If there are none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, make a motion to approve categories 2 and 3 in the plat book.
Second.
A motion from Mr. Redmayne, a second from Mr. Scott to approve the plot book fund as presented, categories 2 and 3. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So you're saying you can see that plat book online? So public log on to the auditor's office website?
Well, they can
see
log into the Grant County website and, they can utilize the Elevate to see all the GIS online. They can, through Elevate, they can get the, tax information. They can get property history information. It's all there.
That's what you were referring to. Yeah, okay. I got you now.
The next fund, this, in front of us this evening is the ineligible homestead fund.
Again, the salary increase of $5,000, a 10% increase for any part-time rates. And that's it. That's the only increase you're gonna see in the salaries.
And the fund balance is healthy and supports the request. as
We will
well.
actually be having a transfer because,
Yeah.
Jim and I have to work on that to figure it out. I don't know how it works, but you can only have so much of a balance in this fund versus your appropriation. And it comes up to like $64,000 that will be transferred to county general at some point this year.
I remember
That's good.
years past that Roger was heavily going after the
We
homestead.
still do.
And he did, at that time, it was bringing in a lot of money.
And we still do.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments regarding the ineligible homestead fund? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I'd make a motion to approve categories 2, 3, and 4 in ineligible homestead account.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Lemming, a second from Mr. Scott to approve the ineligible homestead budget categories 2, 3, and 4 as presented. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next budget before us this evening will be the council budget. Angie, would you like to talk about the council budget?
Again, I asked for a $5,000 raise for the council members.
Yep.
Uh,
You did?
Did I not?
You didn't? You sure didn't.
He increased you to $10,000 from the 7490.
Well,
That's kind of short. There, that's, you
can we go back to the auditor's, budget?
We're gonna reduce it to 499.
we can reduce.
Yeah.
Well, I asked Angie to prepare the council's budgets and yeah. Looks like the supplies are unchanged, the $600. Categories 3, contractual services. The same as requested. The developmental center, which is, is that the?
Carry services.
Carry services, correct?
Mhm.
Those two,
Mental health is radiant.
Those are already.
yeah, those are correct numbers too. Yep. And then we paid the central dispatch loan off. And so those were zeroed out. We still have the lease, principal 81,000. Same, everything else is the same. Would you like to add anything? Is there anything in this stuff?
Everything's.
Should we approve, even in this budget, the developmental center and mental health, or should we
You've already approved.
I know, that's what I'm saying, so just
Exclude the year.
take those out?
Is the ECI, is it in the contractual service piece?
ECI, that is in the lit.
It's in lit, that's right, yeah. Okay. Is there a motion regarding the council budget categories 2 and 3?
Mr. President, I would make a motion to approve categories 2 and 3, under the assumption that 3, we've already done the developmental center, the mental health part.
I have a motion from Mr. Fleming, a second from Mr. Poland to approve the council budget categories 2 and 3 as presented, noting that we've already approved the 2 items. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I'm like the old fart on this hire day. I just looked at that.
I will say
Oh, that's a long time ago.
that throughout the budget process, when all the budgets are submitting their salary requests, if they don't, say they put 0 in for a raise, and then we go, this body decides to give a raise, that we have to advertise the maximum amount we can, so that it makes it difficult to give out raises without having to do another step next year as far as the appropriation and then to the salary limits. That's why I think it's always good for department heads to make their request high. And then you can always come down from a high. I mean, higher number than normal, but just a side note.
Just made our,
Well,
That hire date's not right for me. Mine should be January 2010. This is my 13th year.
But affected perf.
Oh my gosh. I thought you and Connor are about the same. You've been on here longer than him. Huh?
the next budget, the list, we need to approve it tonight, or do we approve
Yes.
it? And that's with the group insurance stayed at the same recommended rate. What's that? We're good.
It's 1,586,000. This year's 1,286,000.
Any questions or comments regarding the lit fund
So that's the accurate number, 1586.
If there are no questions or comments, I entertain a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve the lit budget as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Scott, a second from Mr. Lemming to approve the lit budget as presented, categories 1 and 3. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. As well, debt service, will we take action on that this evening as well? Do you want to go ahead and walk us through the debt service, please?
We are down to one outstanding bond, and that is your payment that you'll see on here, and the interest. The other 2013 project will be paid in full by the end of this year. So
So 2013, 2017 will both be paid off this year?
no, the 2017, it will not be paid until 2037.
Oh,
Is that, how long we gotta string it out, pay it off?
Right. And I know we had a meeting about an early payoff on that, and we would be penalized if we paid it off prior to 28, I believe.
Correct.
How much are you penalized?
I don't have those.
Oh. That's okay.
if the penalty's less than the interest we're paying, it might make sense to.
Well,
The
that's what I was
interest is
thinking.
pretty low. It's 2.95, which is low now.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can flip to the next page and see the amortization schedule. And this was the facility improvement projects for, the jail, generator, jail, renovations, courthouse, detention center. Building, I think there's several facility improvements within this bond. I think when we figure, I think was there's 6.8 million left to go. Roughly.
Seems like there's quite a bit of interest. Wait a minute, interest is up there, it's working down.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest there.
So roughly $110,000 left in interest. Maybe we're seeing what the penalty is.
You only got, what, you got for your payoffs, 225,000?
No. No, it's gonna be a lot more than that.
Sam, you're looking at this bond, right?
That was just budgeted for that year. So you're gonna have to take that over the next. Did you say it was what, 6.8 million left?
I think something like that with interest.
That's a pretty good chunk.
And you can't, I mean, it's around 28, I forget what the penalty was, but I think at the time, it was me, it was enough not to move on it.
That's lay out almost $7 million to pay it off.
Okay, if there's no questions or comments, I entertain a motion regarding the debt service fund.
Mr. President, move to approve debt service categories 3 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Scott, a second for Mr. Lemming to approve the debt service fund as presented. Any other questions or comments from the members in category 3? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We need a motion for the rainy day fund. See you. And then the next fund before us this evening would be the elected officials training fund, 1217. You want to go ahead and update us on this fund if you would.
This is a fee-driven fund also. The elected officials that have appropriations in this fund are the only ones that can actually utilize this money. So when they go to conference, they can pay for themselves out of this fund instead of a general fund account. So I left the clerk at 2,500. I decreased the auditors to 2,500. I did make an increase to the treasurer. She has been attending a lot of conferences, and which I think is outstanding. The recorder also increased to 2,500. And the surveyor, I did increase to 500.
Any questions or comments? The fund balance is there on your sheet, and it looks like the request support the fund. There are no questions or comments. I entertain a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve elected officials training budget as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Scott, a second from Mr. Lemming to approve the 1217 elected officials training regarding the clerk, auditor, treasurer, recorder, and surveyor. Any other questions or comments from the members? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Well, this concludes night 4 of the budget hearing process. Several outstanding issues that will be brought up. Look for special meeting date.
October.
The October. I think it was the 3rd. No, it was October the 4th,
October.
Wednesday the 4th. And then our regular scheduled meeting is on the 18th.
So yeah, we'll wrap up the budget October the 4th. Our next meeting though, as far as is a special meeting with the commissioners, September
13th,
the 13th, I think.
yes, the 13th.
So, yeah. Be watching your emails for any updates, and I appreciate everybody's time, and Angie and the other staff, I appreciate your time and putting the budget together and the workshops. And any members have any other questions or comments? Meeting adjourned.
That 13th, that's a 6 p.m. meeting.